we can take a couple of things into account so far. As we can see, XRP's up about 1.5% on the day after tapping down near $1.34. We're able to hold that area. Now we're going to see if we can get an advancement and an expansion out and see if for whatever reason, if we can create an E wave here, which there's A, B, C, D, E, and a 5-wave corrective wave. We're still trying to see if we're going to expand out into that fifth and final wave or E wave. It would look something probably like this coming up to the CME. We're still perfectly set up for this expansionary wave if it wants to. We're looking for a little bit of help from metals to drop down here and see if we can get a double or a head and shoulders topping reversal on silver, which right now dropping better than 4%, plays right into that head and shoulders topping reversal pattern if it continues to play out. And if it decides to load up here so you can see what's actually on my screen would be phenomenal, but TradingView seems to be stuck in yesteryear. Not sure what's happening there. Let's see what's going on with silver. Can we please load what I have on here? Maybe not. Maybe silver doesn't want to load up my charts, or maybe it deleted it. I don't know. But I have a whole bunch of stuff written for silver for anybody who knows. I'm not sure why it's not loading. There we go. And if it's a right shoulder, it came up all the way up to the top there. We've come back down. And if this is a right shoulder expanding out, this could play into risk assets. Maybe finding money roll. I told everybody not to pay attention to the miners. Just if you're doing it with physical assets, that's one thing. But a propagation of war, they usually will tap down on miners because it's harder to take away from the precious metals. That's why I deleted the miners off of my screen. But if you want to see, like, for an example, PLG, everything looked fine coming into the morning. I don't know what it's looking like right now. Everything's loading up extremely slow on TradingView. But, you know, down 5% on the day, that's probably going to be a story around the market. Let's just see one mining stock real quick just to see how it opened up. Because what ends up happening, about 2% so far, nothing major. But what ends up happening is if a lot of advancement happens in the metals, any kind of consolidation will get hammered within the mining stocks. So I've been aiming the focus for the community since it's so late in the rally to try to look more like that. More into the precious metals. Right now we're having an expansionary move. We talked about this on Saturday. Algo, if it breaks out of this descending wedge, we should be able to come up to the 200-day at minimum. Maybe we'll push up out to that 993 or maybe up to that 11 cents. But in my title, it was a very strategic title. I asked, is escalation of war going to sink XRP sub $1? And I put gold and silver price manipulation on display. I should have said price suppression. Either way, suppression manipulation. And I really liked the picture that I used for XRP because it is kind of like a sinking ship. And are we going to swirl into the abyss? Or are we going to be able to hold on for dear life? Like, that's what it's representing. You got the war in the background, the propagation, the expansion. So I want everybody to really think about that. What's going on this morning? Is this a real rally? Is this something more? It's nice that we cleared out yesterday if we're going to have advancement. We also can watch XDC, what happened this morning. As XDC was up better than 6% at one point this morning, but it got rejected exactly where it should have if this is a continuation down. So let's just see what happens. Let's see how this plays out. We had a small head and shoulders. But again, there was a small play. It hit the resistance like it should have, and now we have to wait. And I could even say, like the head and shoulders pattern, you could even tap this out and be like shoulder, head, shoulder now. Even though the right shoulder didn't come as high, but this could show dominance from the bears. But we still need to see how this continues on because there is still, in my opinion, a chance for XRP. Not a great one, albeit, but there is still a chance that we could expand out. Now, the Dow's down 313 points. The NASDAQ's down 110. The S&P's down 35. Gold and silver and platinum reversed hard. Oil was up 13% on the open in the Indian market, or the markets over by India. And yeah, has it pulled back some? Yes. It's down to 5.7%, but it had a huge surge. But again, that's the make it or break it line. They're at $70.27, and we are not 70% of the move. So are we getting a lot of, let's just call it for what it is, horseshit this morning? Or are we getting a real agenda base? So we're going to go over the XRP charts. We're going to go really deep over the risk assets. We'll take a grand look around the market and see if there's some solace here or if this is a trap to start the Monday morning. Good morning. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Monday, March 2nd, 2026. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. It's just like we talked about yesterday. Are you willing to put your life savings or some of your portfolio into risk assets in this time? It's going to take some balls. It's going to take some preservation. And it's going to take an ideology of understanding within not just the charts, but what the market from a psychological standpoint, but also a standpoint of reality. What's the reality here? Can we propagate here? And if we are going to, we have to get over this area. We have to get over that $1.41, and we have to start pushing out past that $1.50. There is simply no exception to the rule here, except for the fact we've got to get above that descending triangle. So far, so good this morning. It's running a symmetry in a pretty symmetric way. So we'll see how this plays out. But yeah, there's stories coming in with Netanyahu. But there's nothing confirmed yet. They're just rumors. So, and they're not exactly telling us where everybody's at. But right now, for risk assets, what we talked about yesterday was in the immediate short term, this could actually give us a little bit of volatility to the upside. But we've got to watch this in a very, very, very defined order. Because every time we come into the main resistance areas, we've been getting beaten down. So let's watch to see if we get any kind of advancement here. Bitcoin technically has a technical target. If it stays on top, which it has so far, of the breakout of this descending wedge, if it ever loads. Like I said, trading views being extremely slow this morning. I always think it's by design when you need it in the moment. Things happen like this. It's incredible when you start to pay attention to how they kind of work things against us. Notice my stuff's not loading. It's taking ages and ages and ages. None of my charts, what I write on it, is being loaded. It's taken forever. Isn't that incredible how that happens? Especially in times when we actually need it in real time. This isn't the first time this has happened with TradingView, and it certainly won't be the last time. Seeing that we rely on our charts. We rely on things that show us what's happening in the moment. So right now we're still on the top side. In my opinion, the target right now would be 72K roughly if we advance out of here. And right now we have a bullish reversal here in the 4-hourly. We've created an opportunity for expansion. But a descending wedge, the way it's set up, in my opinion, is a bullish reversal. That doesn't mean it's long term. We still have this little area that we haven't filled out to the top side again. So I'd like to at least see a double top there. And for the moment, I'm going to delete this because I don't want everybody to be like, oh, it's just going to be an all-time head and shoulders. That was if it broke down, so we had a little bit of the ability to look at it in real time. But there is a propagation here that's happening, and we're advancing right now. Nice inverse head and shoulders. We don't have to acknowledge it, or we can. Shoulder, head, shoulder, doubled bottom. Bull showing a sign of strength because that's a Gartley if you want to call it a lower W. Back testing a descending wedge. So we can listen to the noise or we can watch the charts and let it play out through the charts. I encourage everybody, if you want to learn a little bit more beyond what you know, I have my class today. Take a look in the video description below and our pinned comments. It's class 9. We're continuing phase 2, part 4, which is wealth preservation versus generation. The first phase was DNA of money. Through the past, present, and future. You can see the old system versus the current system versus the one they're pushing in a digital era. And there's so much more in between there. So it's a great way to not only support my ventures, support what I do independently, but it's also a way for you to learn inherently deeper than you thought possible. So MQ, please continue to be safe on your last couple hours on the way back home. Thanks for being a very trusted mod in here in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XP Meteors. Has have yet to spend enough time with the charts. But my thesis before leaving and now beginning of month, March is going to be a breakout attempt, short squeeze. I agree. I don't disagree with that at all. Not at all. I actually agree with that pretty convincingly. So XRP, if we're looking at it in this sense, at that $1.37, knowing that Bitcoin has that inverse head and shoulders, XRP has a phenomenal inverse head and shoulders, and unless we lose $1.3375 roughly, very much intact. And it's going to be a super volatile move up if it happens. Like, you're going to see us go from 1.5 to 10% like that if it happens. So that's what we're watching for. I expect a pretty strong reversal in all markets, the Dow, NASDAQ, S&P, because I think they're setting up something deeper here. So let's see if we get this strong reversal, which means metals, because money finds yield, metals should drop pretty hard in this scenario. We talked yesterday, if we were going to get an advancement in cryptocurrency, you would see metals start to reverse down on Monday morning. We talked about the gap areas that were left. So, you know, there's a very strong chance that this is starting to play out in that fashion. But we have to see if there's follow through. Right now, so, I mean, honestly, so far, so good. So far, so good. And am I telling you everything's a guarantee? No, I would never say that. But what I'm telling you is there is something building and brewing here that it makes perfect sense with how much we've dumped out. But let's watch XDC here. XDC was a front runner, and it got rejected. So let's just see if we can continue out now. If we're going to play in tomorrow's March 3rd, and everybody knows, or you might not know, but if you stick around, you will know. March 3rd for cryptocurrency historically has been the death of days. So we've had the FTX collapse. We've had the Celsius collapse on March 3rd, and many other things that have transpired for whatever reason on March 3rd. No, short-term pump cannabis podcast. Until we can get up past that $2.02 level, it's impossible to say that it's an actual bullish reversal. This would be more or less a bull trap, a short-term pickup because we have to reattempt to grab some of this liquidity. But it doesn't mean that we can't propagate into something much, much bigger. Remember that. It doesn't mean that we can't turn this into something much, much bigger. So, yeah, it's going to take some guts. It's going to take some testicular fortitude. And it's going to take a certain line of understanding here to try to push into this stuff. I've been asked a lot, do you invest in this or do you not? And I'm not a financial advisor. If you're asking me if you should invest, probably not, because you're asking me. But based on what I'm seeing some kind of reversal here, and it's back tested perfectly. The areas, everything's back tested perfectly. They put in these inverse head and shoulders. And I still think if we're going to get a breakout, Vchain is going to be one of the most volatile ones. Beautiful inverse head and shoulders. And if it does break out here, it's going to be one of the propelling ones, I think. So be careful. Be safe. Don't do anything you can't afford to do. Don't spend bill money. Get your own house in order first. But yes, is there a possibility of a bullish, about 10 to 15% push here quickly? There is. There is absolutely that. Is it going to follow through? Well, that's anybody's guess because it is Monday. A lot of times we have these movements on Monday, and by Tuesday they start pulling back down. But if we're going to have a trend reversal, we've got to get over certain layers, and we're pretty far away from it. If you want a trend reversal, I mean, for Vchain, the bottom line is you've got to get back over 1.8 cents. However, that's about a 140% move from where it's at. So, you know, I'm not saying we're moving 140% at all, but what I am saying is we have to pay attention to this movement because this is something. This isn't just noise. This is something. We have a lot of inverse setups here, so, you know, I know it's difficult in the moment. I trust me, I do. I know how difficult this is trading in the moment. I know how difficult it is with price manipulation and suppression. I know how difficult it is because we do have a war going on and risk assets. But 4 hourly, I would assume Vchain's going to try to make a run up to 828. If that's the case, if this is what we're going for, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. Now, are you going to get shitty pricing? You very well might. You very well might in all of this. Because it's very volatile. And are the prices going to be advanced? Maybe. They might screw everybody over when they try to buy into stuff today, you know, if you're trying to do it. So there's just, you got to be prepared for the unpreparable. Let's just say that. You got to be prepared for the unexpected. So Just it is what it is. And we shouldn't be afraid of what we're seeing at all. And if you're going to take a shot, you know, it's never easy to take a shot in these moments. When we look at XDC, I mean, that's the other thing. We need to see if this is just an opening 4-hour candle too to drive the market lower. But again, with Bitcoin being on top of that descending wedge and holding perfectly and now having a bullish reversal into expansion, it looks like, I don't know if we're going to be able to stop going up to 72 here. Tom said it was Tuesday. Oh yeah, in the opening this morning, I guess I did. I didn't even realize I said it until after I did that. It was a rough night. Scarlett was sick, throwing up and stuff. She's home from school, so when I woke up this morning, I didn't even have my bearings. So I'm just glad that I was able to do the work I did, and I'm glad I'm here right now. But it definitely wasn't smooth sailing this morning, I can tell you that much, or last night, to be honest. But I'll do my best. I'll do my best to continue doing what we do best. That's a guarantee. It's a guarantee. Well, we'll see how this plays out. It's 10-12. We'll see if we can push out here, and we'll just see what happens here. I'm very excited to see what happens here. It's always nice to see a little bit of green here in the mornings, honestly. If you're looking at XRP, again, that $1.33 level is where it needs to hold at the end of the day. We're up to the resistance, but we've got plenty of room to push out of here now, especially if we get the support from Bitcoin. What I like about this is the 4-hour drop candle, the buy candle back is greater than the sell-off, which is also a good sign for trying to propagate here. So, you know, I've seen worse setups to start a day, to start a week, honestly. I have. What happened here? Did I get cut off? No, I don't think so. I think it just reset my stuff. So yeah, we got to watch this. We'll see how far up we go. But if it happens, like I said, this isn't going to be a slow move. This would be a rather quick move. So XLM right now is up 3.76%. Seemingly looking like that inverse head and shoulders. The bulls are in control again. So I'm happy to see that with XLM. There's a few things I'm happy to see this morning, but is it going to pan out? Like, this could end up being a big trap. Am I in it? I talked about my stuff yesterday and the ability to look at things, but I'm not going over personal portfolio. I want you guys to make your own decision based on what we're seeing in the charts. You know, that's what I want. I don't want you to just ask me, hey, Tom, do I buy this? If you're asking me, you shouldn't buy it then. But if you're taking into account what I'm putting on these charts and, you know, you're paying attention to it, and then you're asking an honest question, you know, that's one thing. But please never base it on what somebody else is telling you. Okay? You got to base it on what you're seeing or what you feel, your basic understanding. Because if you start to rely on somebody else too much, no matter if you respect the hell out of me or not, you're not doing it in a formidable way in your own portfolio, and that becomes dangerous. You know, I want you guys to advance into a level where I can guide you, but overall, I want you to make the decision. I really do. I want you to make this decision for yourself, and I want you to be able to understand what's happening, because the best thing we can do is have an understanding. Really, it is. XDC came back down and tested, so I would expect, unless we can't invalidate this this structure, you know, I would like to see this be a reversal, but we still haven't broken past the levels of the what's the best way of saying this? We haven't broke past the levels of conviction yet, but we're close. So just be aware of it. Be aware of what's going on in these charts. That's the best I can say. Just be aware, you know, having a basic understanding of what you're looking at, and don't go outside of yourself this morning, please. And yes, we could have a very big move this morning. And I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Like I said, it could be a 10 to 12% move here if it plays out properly. And I still think Vchain is going to probably be one of the bigger ones if it happens, just because of how tempted it was at the downside. I also like if we do move up XLM with its expansionary moment, if it can move out. I do. Now the daily, if you look at it, it's way up over the top. XDC, however, if you look at the daily, is way underneath. So I still think XDC is undervalued in this picture from this point of view. But it doesn't mean that this propagates. You know, it doesn't mean that this will advance out like we want it to. But there's going to be a lot of volatility this morning. I really like the way that things collapse back down, like especially with Ethereum and back tested that initial move. And this breakout should get us, like we said, 2111 or up to 2,172, but that's still a bearish pennant if it can't get out of that zone, especially at 2111. So opportunity comes those who are willing to take the call, but opportunity mostly comes to the ones who are willing to take time to learn what's setting up, take time to learn from not just a charting perspective, from a market psychology perspective, and somebody who doesn't go in too deeply into something they can't afford so they can allow it to ride out. XRP is below the 78.6 at $1.50, acting as a key overhead resistance. XRP remains under the 7-day SMA, $1.39, and the 30-day SMA at $1.04. I understand all of that, but to me, I don't put a lot of stock into the Fibonacci besides that the retracement levels. I look more at the resistance support because that's what gives you the Fibonacci levels. And those are great stats, but the bottom line is if it's meant to break out, all that is moot. You know, that's where we're at right now because of the way the markets are moving. It does have to break over those key levels, but all I really care about is this setup. I don't care about anything else, to be honest. I care about the numbers, yes, because they're important. And I love the fact that you shared all of that. But I'm looking for this retest up here at minimum to try to retest not only the 200-day, but get back up towards that descending triangle and ultimately try to hit that breakaway gap that's been up there at the CME and FVG. So, no, you didn't necessarily miss it. A lot of people love the Fibonacci. I don't hate the Fibonacci. I just like to do it in my own way to where I don't judge myself based off the Fibonacci. I'd rather do the judging for the Fibonacci by being able to accurately anticipate where the lines are and the setups are and, you know, things like that. Not saying that it's not a good thing to look at the Fib. That's not what I'm saying at all. At all. Tomorrow is just looming for me. Oh, yeah. So, you know, that's why we're going to find out very quickly this morning. Are we being faked out, shaken out? Is this something or is this nothing? We're going to find out quickly. But like I said at the start, I expected the NASDAQ, S&P, and Dow majestically to reverse back up those 400-point losses in the Dow. NASDAQ was down 100. I just majestically expected this to move up because something don't smell right. And the thing that tells me something don't smell right is what happened with gold, silver, and platinum. That tells you right off the bat something ain't smelling right. Now, if oil gives it all back, you know something ain't smelling right. But that could be setting up in a flag or, you know, something deeper. So let's just not get ahead of ourselves. Let's stay in this in a unified way. Before we go any further, let's not forget to give thanks to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Yahweh Yeshua. We pray for guidance for Bearded Viking, Mighty Marcus, and so many others. As he continues to fight the good fight. Anybody else who is struggling with health, solitude, and mentality, you know, basic necessities, we ask for guidance from God. Amen. I think that smell is the war not looking like a long drawn out thing, possibly. Mr. Scott, I could see that point of view, and thanks for being in town under 6+ months with the XP Predictor, you and Mrs. Stott. Carl and the Cannabis Podcast, thanks for being in town for over 1 year at the I Told You So Badge, along with Mark Caston. Logical Patriot, thanks for 3+ months with the XP Meteor and the $1.99 super chat. Greatly appreciate that more than you know. Every single cent you guys donate definitely helps out. It helps me push this content and helps me pay for my son's stuff. So, you know, I appreciate that. Got a nice little notice about my son's medical, what it's going to cost starting April 1st, and it is not cool. Not cool at all. It's going to be like $700 and something a month for his stuff, and that is not fucking cheap. Let me tell you. Let's see. Still think XDC, because it hasn't finished out this wave, is a better than not attempt here. Weekly's massively oversold. Compared to most of the market, the daily's oversold in a big way. 4-hourly's up there a little bit. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens here. There's no real way to be like, oh, this is exactly what's going to happen, and this isn't. But, you know, we'll see what happens here. I do like, I mean, I can't help it. I like what I'm seeing so far. Like, I'm not going to come here and be like, oh, this looks like, I like what I'm seeing right now. And it's speaking to the fact of what we were saying, something don't smell right. And that's just okay. It's okay. It's okay. Let's see what's happening with ADA, up 4.17%. Nice inverse head and shoulders there as well. Daily time frame, though, as you can see with a lot of these, they're up a little bit higher, but the 4-hourly has so much room here right now if it wants to have a big expansion out. So I think when you start looking at a lot of this stuff, it's the same thing as like kind of what we talked about Saturday and Sunday. If we can hold these areas, we could get a short-term surge. Yes, overall for war is not extremely bullish for risk assets, but in the immediate short term, the easiest way for our government to push in and try to make a few dollars would be to artificially push up risk assets. Now, it is Monday morning, so can you trust any of this? I don't know. We're going to find out in the next couple of hours, that's for sure. You never chase green candles, so if you're trying to chase, just be cautious, you know. There's 4 to 5% movements here, so, you know, we're going to find out in a very quick way. XRP's now moved above some of those moving averages. And we're starting to build a little strength here for XRP. Breaking out of this pattern consolidation. And are we going to get that sweep? Are we going to get a sweep up here? It's the big question, because there is a nice inverse pattern. We're outside of this little consolidation. We're outside of this descending consolidation that is a big 5 wave. If we can just hold this and we have it on the D wave, we put in an inverse pattern, which is super bullish. It just is what it is. It's quite the opposite for metals. I tried to talk about this over the weekend, that there was a gap. And initially, it's not that it's bad for metals. It's just, you know, what's the easiest way to trick retail and steal their purchasing power? In the long term, it'll be good for metals. But a gap is a gap. It gapped up from Friday, and then it kept going up on Sunday. And war is not bad for metals. War is usually generally better for oil, though. Metals, yes, as a medium of exchange, but oftentimes it goes first into the oil. So, and I'm not even convinced oil is going to have a full out. I think this could have been we'll see. If $70.27 holds, the technical target's 110. Is 110. So, but right now we really can't argue with what's going on in cryptocurrency. We can see a semblance of a move up. So, my eye's still on XDC because I don't think it's finished out even a C wave here. And I think that if we get an expansionary tactic, it's got a lot of opportunity. We've consolidated this morning like, you know, we needed to. But this could also be front running the rest of the market if this doesn't reverse very hardcore. So let's just see, because generally when you break out, if you have a shoulder, head, shoulder, or bottoming, you'll back test to break out, which is basically right here. But we have to invalidate what could be setting up as a right shoulder here, because if it sets up as an extended right shoulder, so it's weird. Markets are saying this war and high oil prices are good for the economy. Yeah, I guess it is. Suppose it is. Now is the make it or break it moment of the market, though. After we retrace back up, now is going to be the moment. Even in the Dow and stuff, now that it's pushed up where it is, now there's no controlling it. We don't know if it's going to break right back down because it had that initial movement up like we thought. But now, if it pushes out and this doesn't confirm, it's just going to push down again. So they got a very big choice. There's a very big choice right now. And what Trump just said, and you can put whatever stock you want into it, he said the big wave hasn't even come yet in Iran. So what do you make of that? Do you think that the metals are just consolidating like they need to fill that gap this morning, and then they'll push up? Do you think cryptocurrency is trying to lure in more people into risk and then it moves down? That's the question we have to ask ourselves this morning. What is really going on? Are they trying to feed into the gambling nature? Are they trying to feed into our ability not to function properly in volatility? You know, these are all questions we need to ask ourselves this morning. Yes, I would greatly appreciate if you hit that like button. Only 50% of the audience has hit the like button, and I am highly suppressed. My second live from yesterday, they didn't even put out until I put my short out 2 minutes later after my short, which suppressed my short. But they are not advancing my content. So the more you like, the more you force them in the algorithm to push it. So, you know, I'm kind of just hanging out here to see what happens, especially with Bitcoin, because it has a technical target to 72 if this plays out perfectly, which it should. It should. I mean, why argue with the descending wedge? That's a bullish reversal. And the next target out of this reversal is 72K. I'm not going to fight it. You know, in fact, it's right in our liquidity box. So it has the ability in that 16 point or 17% range to keep going up and down and up and down and up. It's like the Wild West out here, folks, isn't it? It's like the freaking Wild West. That's why I encourage you, like, every single person who struggles with not just the charts, because I can teach you the charts every day, but if you're struggling with what's going on, how to judge the markets, and how to do all of this stuff, you need to join the classes. I have 45 people in there, not including including me, so 44. And today's part 4 of the phase 2, which is the purpose of investing wealth preservation versus generation. We did 4 classes of the DNA of money and the great transitioning, and it goes all the way from the old times to the current times to the future times. It talks about the bartering system and so much more. You can literally take a look at what the images are to try to get something. We talk about monetary theory, purchasing power, market hierarchy, the pillars of money, the cost of sitting still, and so much more. In this part, we talk about wealth generation offense versus wealth preservation defense. We talk about asymmetric math of recovery, your financial North Star, the dynamics of compounding, and so much more. And there's about 13 hours of learning already. You don't have to join live, but I encourage everybody, take advantage of that. And it's going to be continuous, so take advantage of that. That's something you're not going to find anywhere else. And even if you took college courses, they're not going to teach you that. I'm teaching through Zoom. I don't acknowledge myself as XRP Future Millionaire. There's people in there that have never been part of this community. I'm professor speaker in there, and I act like a teacher because I am a teacher. Right now is the scary part for the market. Is this a consolidation back test, or are we going to fall apart? I would love to know what the audience thinks. Would love to know. I would really love to know. Because right now XDC is telling us that everything will probably consolidate like XDC, but if this invalidates the structure, XDC is telling us a hell of a lot here. It already has, because it got rejected at the first layer where it really needed to push out, but that is normal, because now you're back testing this reversal. So I'm going to assume everything is going to consolidate in that, probably a similar fashion. And we're just going to have to see it from a grander scale again. Right now, XRP is trying to hold that $1.40. And it's doing a pretty good job this morning. I mean, there's a lot of volatility, obviously. Vchain is trying to push out past its everything's trying to push out past its volatility. And we have these nice inverse patterns now. So until these get invalidated, I mean, until 007 breaks, this is actually a bullish reversal here for Vchain. You know, whether we want to acknowledge it or not is one thing. But in the immediate short term, we're seeing signs of bullish reversals. XDC is retesting. Now, can it turn this into a hammer candle? If we get above 33443, I'm willing to say this reversed into a hammer candle in this 2-hour candle. If it's a hammer candle, that's a hold, and then it's going to take the next couple of candles to confirm the next move. But as of right now, it's trying to pull back up enough to be considered almost like a hammer candle in the 2-hourly. You can almost say the same thing in the 4-hourly, but you can't necessarily say it yet. Are these fake outs is the other thing. And if XRP gets rejected at $1.40, you know, that would be a big indicator here that this is in fact a fake out. Right now it's back testing the breakout over the descending wedge. We did have, look in the 2-hourly, that volume spike, which is volume predicts price. In the 2-hourly, it did exactly what it should have. It came up to the 200. Now it's got to try to hold this area. But we're going to learn a lot this morning. A lot. A lot. Did I mention we're going to learn a lot this morning? You can just look how it's tapping right now. Look how it's bouncing around risk assets. XRP's bouncing around. You've got the perpetual futures looking a little bit different here, breaking down some already. But it's going to be a lot of bouncing around here, folks. A lot of bouncing around. So I wouldn't trust this market, though. Not just yet. I don't trust it. I know, is that a bad thing to say that I don't trust the market right now? Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I just don't trust it. So I'm just going to sit on my ass and do nothing. If I'm being honest. I don't trust it. I'm going to wait to see if this is a fake out or not. Does it look like it could push out? It does. I've had a little bit of volume. I definitely don't recommend leverage trading at all in this volatility at all. Spot trading is one thing, but leverage trading right now, I definitely don't advise it. Does that mean it can't pan out? Absolutely not. But it means you're gonna have to have a big stomach here. I don't mean a big gut. I mean some guts here if you're gonna play the leverage side. Just a matter of which level it turns. I agree, quad 8. I agree. Just a matter of what level it turns. I like that a lot. So the best thing we can do is preserve capital and wait for some kind of, you know, identity here. And that's my plan. I'm going to hold capital and see if we get some kind of confirmation one way or the other. That's all we can really do. Does it make me happy? No. Not necessarily. If I'm being honest. Shouldn't I be? I should be more encouraged based on what I'm seeing. It's just we're on that Monday morning and now watching the Dow down 250 points again, the NASDAQ down over 100. It's a scary market here. Like on Monday mornings, the biggest trap time in the markets is usually on Monday morning, but that doesn't mean it's going to break down. Absolutely. Sit back and be patient. Because for XRP, if it is in fact going to break out, it's going to do it right now. If it can hold this back test. And so far, you know, so far, it has. It really has so far. Does it mean it's going to continue on? That's the question we don't know. That 4-hour candle is interesting at best. It's a very interesting candle. But there's going to be a lot of shaking and baking. A lot of shaking and baking at that. So now we're trying to see if that $1.40, $1.41 is resistance or if we can hold that support on the breakout. So there's a lot going on this morning. It's pretty fun too and exciting. A lot of volatility. Bitcoin has pushed out 4.7%, pushing this target. That looks like a very similar candle to what XRP is putting in as well. And a lot of the rest of the market. So it's one of those things. XLM is on the top side of a back test with a nice inverse head and shoulders. So it seems like we're going to go up a little bit more, quad 8s. At least to touch those higher liquidity zones, it looks like. I mean, I can't confirm nor deny, but kind of looks that way to me. But these are the tricky times in the markets. Very tricky times. Bitcoin up to 69. I mean, it looks like it's trying to propagate out here, so we'll see. We'll certainly see. Let's see. It's tricky. Tricky. I'm glad we have everybody in here this morning. I'm glad we have everybody in here. Define, thanks for being a very trust mod in Tom's Army for over 1 year. Says, hey everyone, hit that like, consider subscribing and joining Tom's Army for the best technical analysis on YouTube. Every day you are not in the Telegram, you are missing out. Why wait? And I agree. We got a lot of good minds in there. Look at Bitcoin now up to 69.1. We talked about that push up to 72, and it'd be a rather quick move if this in fact plays out. So see if the rest of the market follows it. Let's see. Appreciate that, Mark. Says you always learn from me. Garrus, welcome. And XDC is the predictor in Tom's Army for first month with the emoji badge and me being abducted by aliens. I agree with that. XDC did the push up. Now it's consolidating, and if it holds, look at XRP back up to $1.40.7 after a quick flush. Looks like it's setting up for something deeper. 2 hourly's got plenty of room. It's incredible how hard they are trying to work to liquidate people on the way through this, honestly. It's incredible. It really is incredible how they're trying to liquidate people on this move. Because you are seeing a lot of inverse setups here. And it looks like they're trying to do their best to keep people away from this move. Honestly, it's very interesting to me. Let's see Vchain. I do like Vchain, though, if this does break out. Because I like Vchain to come back up and probably retest higher levels. And in the daily time frame, it's not exactly in a horrible spot either. If it wants to pull back up, which it's trying to. So, again, be safe. You know, don't overextend yourself, but it's no different than we've been talking about with Vchain. Where are we at right now? 741, 740. H bar. I mean, they all are pushing out of the breakout right now. This reeks of just a quick move up. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm just telling you that's what the charts are starting to speak. Let's see. Like, I do have a couple positions, but I'm not doing anything outside of what we talked about yesterday. Vchain, the XDC. Well, I'm not going over it because that's my business. And that sometimes forces people into something. And then I'm going to see if this continues out or if it breaks down. We'll see if this is a quick move up for Bitcoin. But right now, it's certainly propagating that 10% move I'm feeling in my gut across the board. So, XDC, yes, it came back down. But in my opinion, for this move to continue, it had to. It had to. The only way this was going to continue was to fall down like this. It had to. Because it's back testing the neckline right now in a big way of this move. Right now, I mean, look at that. That is your make it or break it. I mean, it's legitimately back testing this breakout in the best way I can imagine. Because it's going to tell us a visual order now. It's not going to lie to us. This isn't lying. This is being very truthful, the XDC pattern this morning, which I appreciate, to be honest. It makes it a lot easier to hold right now. You guys know my projected targets, the reason why I keep buying it after big dips. So that's what we're looking at. It came back down, worked this neckline. Now it's cleared out a lot of room in the shorter time frames. If it gets rejected here, it could come all the way back down to 321. But, you know, I like XDC, so I'm not afraid to, you know, ride it if I have to for a little bit. Even if it costs me a little bit. All I do is I penalize myself if I misrepresent a chart pattern and I pay myself, and then I have less to trade with next time. It's just what I do. And with the way the tax hits are going right now in crypto, you know, I don't have any reserve or resolve. I just do what I do. I don't give a shit about the rest, to be honest. I don't care what anybody else does. I only care about what I think in these moments and the best way to push the information out. So I continue to watch this market. I continue to see the possibility of an extreme expansion here. And that's how I'm going to approach it. It's the only way I know how to approach it. I know a lot of you are in the similar boat. You approach this market in a very similar fashion as I do. So let's just try to do this together, folks. Let's just try to unify here and figure this out. That's what I want to do. And that's what I'm going to try to do this morning. So it's the best way I can put it. Best way I can put it. So it's tricky. It's very tricky. This whole thing is very freaking tricky. Because I'm still watching because I want to see if it actually does this entire rally. Because Bitcoin's technical move up here is $1 or 72K out of that descending wedge. So that does give us a little bit of advancement power here. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see. It gives XRP the ability to run up, if it wants to, very quickly to that $1.56 again. Because it's breaking out of this area as well. Nice inverse pattern. First area is going to end up being around, well, I mean, you got to get over this top. I don't know. The bulls are showing strength right now. I can tell you that much with how that right shoulder pulled down. If it holds. New York is delivering Southside liquidity raid. Yep, green volume bump absolutely on XDC. And after that drawdown, if it's going to push out, I mean, this is not a bad area if it pushes out. Now, there's no guarantee it pushes out. That's the thing. You know, like, we don't know if it's going to actually be able to push out entirely. But I'm watching these order books too on my phone. And I can see a little bit of advancement for XDC, at least right now in the short term. But I don't know. I like what Ethereum's done so far. I like what a couple other things have done so far, if I'm being honest. Let's see. Man, this is so tricky. As long as we can get over this volatility hump right now, we're fine. If we get over this volatility hump, we're good. Bitcoin being over 70K would be a really big signal here as well. Let's see. Buy, support, sell, resistance, support, sell. Yep. And what you have to understand when you buy, support, sell, resistance, you hold through a breakout. And right now, XRP is breaking out. So if you're buying support, selling resistance, you bought support, sold resistance, bought support, sell resistance. But technically, it didn't give this away. It's on the top side. So this would be a continuation. So now you got to be very careful about selling support or selling the resistance because it pushed over. And Bitcoin was a teaser. Bitcoin pushed over pretty easily, actually. Fairly easily, honestly. XLM starting to drive up almost 5%. A lot of inverse patterns. I know we've already been 51 minutes already, so we only got about 10 to 15 minutes left because I got to set my class up and I put a lot of dedication into that. If you want to know more about that, you are more than welcome to join us on our journey through the classes. Yep, I agree with that, MQ. That's what we're trying to come up to right now to try to deal with that. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Well done. Well freaking done. Let's see Vchain. Man, Vchain's like tugging at me right now. Like, listen, guy. You got the hold candle. Now we're trying to reverse back up. Nice breakout attempt here. It's got 11 minutes left and it's looking phenomenal. If it can close around here. It even got back above this old tap of a gap. This continues. There's a lot of room here for Vchain. Very interesting. XDC still got my mind and soul right now, though. I want to see how this pans out in real time. And I don't encourage you to buy 550,000 things right now. If you're doing something, try to stay in a defined order. You know, don't buy too many things because what if you got to get out? You know, what if it reverses and it hits your support lines? It's going to be very difficult if you got 17 things to sell at the same time. Just remember that. That's the best advice I can give to anybody who's new. Sometimes it's better, a lot better, to not have 550,000 things to sell. You know, sometimes when you're in these volatile moments, the best thing you can do is hold a certain, you know, you find things that you've got marked down, and then you try to advance it in the best possible way. And sometimes the best possible way is not holding on to 110,000 things at once. And I know a lot of you understand my philosophy when it comes to that kind of stuff. And it's a real philosophy. And then if you're afraid of losing some of your portfolio, it means you have too much in your portfolio. You know, so what I would suggest there is take some out of your account if it's too much. Take some out, put it to the side, and then if you got to reload it later, at least you're not tempted, you know, at trading something that you can't afford to lose. That's a big advice I would give you. you know? So right now the market's fighting. Market's fighting. It's trying. It's doing what it should do on a breakout attempt. I still see if it's going to do this properly would be about a 10% move and more, especially if this does this properly. A lot of that plays into the imbalance that we talked about over the weekend because we had an extreme sell volume. We're about 98% of the liquidity on 550 something thousand traders ended up being short traders. They got hammered. Hammered. I mean, absolutely demolished. But other than that, I don't really see anything that I'm looking at overall here going, oh my God, this isn't doing what we need it to do to try to have an advancement. Right now, it's doing what it needs to do. Bitcoin pushed up very volatilely, so now it's going to see on a hold here or if it's going to break down. This is the point of the morning. This is the point. If we get through right now, it's going to be volatile. We're going to make some money. Make some currency. XDC will make some money. Vchain will make some money. A lot of these will make some money. If it breaks down, going to be a lot of traps. We're at that resistance. Pay attention to what MQ said about that $1.42 and some change. Garrus, oh, beautiful. I like that because I've been talking a lot about XDC in a time of volatility if we go up. But, you know, we'll see how this plays out. So far, so good. That's pulled up like I wanted to. There's only 7 minutes left in this candle. The higher up we go, the more of a chance we have a hammer candle forming. I still got to start pushing up a little. I mean, at least we're on the top side of that descending wedge now. We back tested it, or this symmetrical triangle breakout. Is that symmetrical or is that descending triangle? Could be descending. If we break out to the top side of that, that'd be rather interesting. And now we'll see if the thesis plays out where the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ can try to push back up here. Or if that thesis pulls it right back down. Man, is it very, very finicky right now. Bright Future Freedom says, hey, Tom, off topic, but where would you get some legit ivermectin, fenbenzynol, like medical grade? The fenbenzynol, it's easy. You get stuff like this. I think I have one here, the one I'm going to take today if I can find it. The fenbenzynol. Let me go look at my cupboard. You're going to want to get these. If you're doing fenbenzynol, you don't need a script for fenbenzynol. You just don't want to take that paste shit that everybody's pushing, in my opinion. I think that paste stuff is not any good. This is what you want to take. You want it to be, it's the, what's the size of this pack? It's like 2.22 or what, 22.2. You want 222 milligrams, 22.2%. So it should look like this. You can get it on Amazon. It's a little expensive, though. I mean, it's not cheap. This stuff by no means is cheap. So, about $15, $20 for a 3-pack. Take it, like I take it, a couple weeks off, and then I'll take it 5 to 7 days in a row, a week off. You know, and that's just kind of my routine with it. but it's certainly not cheap, you know, from a grand scale. Let's see. And then it's going to be much, much harder. It's going to be much harder to get the ivermectin. You got to find like, there's different, you're going to have to go online and you're going to have to find a virtual doctor that deals with ivermectin. And then you're going to have them send it to a lab. There's one in New Jersey that if you can get them to do it through that pharmacy, it's called, what's that pharmacy? Because you have to find pure ivermectin, and it'll look something like this, and it's $200 a bottle for 30 pills roughly, and I can't really, right now it's going to look something like this though. You know, it's a little pill like this. It's not that paste bullshit that everybody's taking. But it comes from a pharmacy called Anexia Specialty, and it's like out of New Jersey. These are 16 milligram tablets, but it's defined by weight. So you're going to have to find it through a pharmacy like that. And there's a lot of them that will do it. You know, if you can find the proper person to write the script, but it's expensive as hell. I'm not going to lie about it. Much too expensive for life-saving kind of things, but it's something I'm willing to do for myself. And I know you're willing to do it for your mother-in-law. And I commend you for that, my friend. I really do. But yeah, that's what you're gonna have to do. It was very difficult for me to acquire, but that's what I've done. That's how I had to do it. Because they don't want to give us stuff like this. They don't want to give us stuff like this. Good for her. And who was that was talking about? Rubrian, that's a great question about closing the Strait of Hormuz. That could in fact rise risk assets for a minute. I was under the impression, at least in the short term, risk assets could go up, but long term, it's probably not going to be a great thing with the propagation of war. But short term, you know, there was the ability for this. We just need to see if this follows through this 10:30 to 12 o'clock time. If it can't follow through here, you're going to see much like you've seen. But I mean, I've tried to warn with why not to buy the commodities right now. And just if you have precious metals, it's one thing. But they assault, just remember this, they assault the mining stocks. Down 5% for First Majestic. And I know it's up to $30, and it was all the way down so cheap when we first bought it. But this is where you don't want to give it all back, you know. I wonder what B2, but I don't put these out here right now because I want you to focus on something different. That B2 Gold fell back under $6 again. Barely lived up there for at all. PLG is probably getting swamped right now. That's the platinum miner. Yeah, almost 5%. Yeah, they're taking the money from retail right now via mining stocks. Unfortunately. But let's all come together and say a quick prayer though. We said one for Bearded Viking and Mighty Marks this morning, but for Bright Future Freedoms, looks like for his, let's see, for your mother-in-law, so his wife's mom. So let's pray to Yahweh Yeshua for some guidance. Hopefully this information that I give out will lead you to some conclusion or some opportunity to acquire some of this stuff. We pray to Yahweh Yeshua, Emmanuel, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for a guiding hand. And we ask for the best possible outcome with the least amount of pain to try to find some kind of proper resolution and not to break the body down. Can we get an amen? Make sure God becomes present in our actions this morning by all speaking the name of God as we give all of our glory to God. Whether you're religious or not, you got to believe in something more than just yourself. And remember, feel blessed if you're not dealing with a lot of the over-the-top things like many of us are with our family members. But he knows the struggle with my son and some other things. There's a big struggle going on there. The medical is extremely expensive. And it's going to be even more expensive. They keep raising the premiums like crazy. I don't get medical through a job. I don't even have medical, but I'm willing to pay an arm and a leg for my son who's special needs. So talking $700 to $800 a month starting next month. So that's going to be a big kick in the dick. Extreme rise in prices, but he's going to get the care he needs. That's for sure. I'm going to sacrifice. If I gotta go find another job, I will, outside of all of this. That won't put me under the water, but, you know, many things are piling up that can. So your guys' support is absolutely phenomenal. And the way you guys support me in here, allowing me to do this, be able to provide. But like I've said, you can't just rely on being a trader because the markets right now in the volatile moments, you don't make as much money and you can lose a lot of money. And I can't afford to lose that money. Period. That's why I've cashed out better than 10 to 15,000 off of Kraken to keep it around 30. And every time I make like $1,000 or $2,000, I cash it right out. Before I got into these trades with Vchain and XDC, I cashed out all the way down to 30,200 from 31,900 because I know it's a gamble. I know it's a gamble. So please take care of your home base first. We can make wealth, but we can't afford to lose it. I'm telling you, it's not the time to lose all of this. We can't afford it. There's too much stuff going on. USDT dominance is down 7. Almost down back to the symmetrical triangle, but we need this to break down. If this breaks down, we're going to cook, baby. Oh, we're going to cook. We will cook like you've never cooked before in the last 6 months. In the last 5 to 7 months or something close to that. Man, I still feel like the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ is setting up some kind of movement this morning. I don't know what it is. Something doesn't freaking feel right. Why does this not feel right? I knew that metals were going to get hammered this morning. How could I have fucking possibly known that besides the gap? How could I have known? I don't understand. Like, they're doing it even faster than I thought. But I really understood this yesterday when we talked about it, that this was a trap. And I said, please, please don't be buying miners right now. Something ain't right here. You've had silver reverse better than 11% from the top from yesterday because it's putting in maybe a right shoulder here. Maybe this is a right shoulder. It failed to break out of liquidity zone. If I didn't know any better, I think they're trying to fuck us in sound money right now. And then we're going to get a moment of movement and risk. I mean, that's at a 10 to 11% reversal in the last several hours. I mean, it's phenomenal what's going on here. What they've perpetrated this morning. Because everybody would go into the safe harbor, in my opinion, of precious metals. Platinum's down 7% from the top overnight. Unbelievable. Gold's giving back the entire $150 gain. The entire gain. And I still like it like this if it was some kind of possible rising wedge or an ascending movement out. But now we need to see if we back test and hold. I mean, this is an incredible reversal this morning. And this plays into risk assets. So money finds yield, remember. That's why yesterday I said if we're going to go up, it's going to be through stuff like this. All I can tell you on Vchain and the rest of this market, very, 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 very risky this morning. Because this market, like I keep saying, something's not right. But where everything is at, if I'm a gambler, yeah, maybe it would have been better to buy it down here yesterday when we were talking about it, or before this right shoulder possibly started pushing up. But if you buy it here, you've got to understand you can't just sell it if it comes down 1%, which makes it maybe not the best trade because you're going to have like a, you don't even have to ride it all the way down, but you'd have to ride it for about 3% to see if this candle reverses to the downside. And you'd have to make sure if you're going to sell out that it falls below that pink line. So not the worst time in the world if you think we're going to get expansion here. Nice inverse head and shoulders. Right shoulder pulled down farther, which is often a sign the bulls are taking control. If it can expand out. We've got a breakout on Bitcoin. So it's not the worst setup in the world, but it is up 3.5% right now. XDC is another one where it's all about, does it hold this or does it break down? We're going to get a lot of noise here. Oh man, we're going to get a lot of noise. So is anything really a good buy here? Like I said, I'm going to take a lot of balls here. I'm going to take balls to make a play here. And that's why I keep saying in risk assets, make sure your house is in order. That's why I keep funneling money out of crypto. I've funneled so much money out of crypto now. And I'm focused on, I have the precious metals. I'm not focused on miners. I funneled out of all of the miners. As you guys know, on these pushes up over the last 6 months, especially recently. Had a huge tax bill thanks to crypto and mostly crypto and the mining stocks. So I'm not as, oh my God, I need to own a whole shitload of money in crypto or a whole bunch in miners. I'd rather have it in precious metals where I'm not getting taxed because I'm not selling it. Let's put it that way. Smarter Tom wouldn't even have invested in commodities and would have just put it all in metals because I knew I wasn't selling it, so I wouldn't have had to take that tax hit. That's the bottom line. Faith is always a good buy and never overpriced. Amen to that. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. So far, so good. We're holding. So far, so good. I know people are leaving because you know I'm about to leave. We need 6 more likes to get to 100. 6. Well, somebody unliked it. 7 more likes to get to 100, apparently. Somebody just de-liked what I said. So I guess somebody doesn't like Faith. That's okay. Yes, trading with J-Rod Gold is absolutely breaking down right now. Oh, we got a couple donations. Wow. Logical Patriot, thanks for the $9.99 donation on top of the $1.99. That's super generous. Like, seriously. You didn't have to do that. You're already in Tom's Army for 3+ months, but I really appreciate the generosity. Bright Future Freedom in Tom's Army 6+ months with the XP Predictor gifts the sub and tries to expand our reach. The ZXCV, congratulations on being in your first month with the emoji badge and me being abducted by aliens. Wow, up to 103 likes. Thank you guys so much. Or 102 likes. I misread what John said. 102. Thank you so much, John, and everybody else who's hit that like button. No, I was... No, you're good, Cannabis Podcast. I like to push our faith. In fact, yesterday I was able to purchase a couple of things from my church because once a year during Lent, because it's the second week of Lent, they come in from Jerusalem. I would like to share what I bought real quick before I leave. And I do it every year. This is the second year now. I got this last year, the holy water from Jerusalem. I got the anointing oil this year, so we can anoint ourselves. It's been blessed. It's an oil. And then I bought, because my Aunt Deanne, this is a little backstory about me. My Aunt Deanne every year would buy me a cross, a really nice cross. Not to wear around your neck, but a big cross. And every single year, she would ask me what I want for Christmas, and I would say, can you please just keep buying me the different kind of crosses? And she did until she passed away. And so I bought this in her memory. It's even got a little message back here, but it was made in Jerusalem, so it's real nice, real solid. And then I also got this. It says, God bless our home, Jerusalem. That's just not my home. That's all of our homes. So, you know, and it's really nice quality. But I can feel, the more of us that speak about our Lord and Savior, I can feel the guidance, folks. I really can. But if you're asking me if it's a bad investment right now, it's an opportunity to try to take a shot. But again, it's going to go up quick. That's what I was talking about this morning. So every pullback you'd have to take advantage of, and it's going to take some balls. It's going to take some balls. But before I leave everybody, because I have to get this class stuff in order, it's not that I want to leave all of you, but I really do have to leave. If you want to join my classes, there's a link in the video description below under pinned comments. It'll be the best money you've ever invested. Not just to support my cause, support your own cause, and so on and so forth. So, and it really does help. It's not going to a waste. You know, this is what I do. Help support me, my son. It allowed me not to have to go to, well, I still could, but I don't think I ever will. Charles Schwab offered me a job, but I'd have to stop this station and sign a non-disclosure agreement. I just can't do that. I just can't do that. The classes are at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but you can watch them after. Now, only about 30% are there in real time, roughly. The rest of them watch it on their own time. And you can watch those at any time. It's a continued database. It's a continued database. And there's 8 classes right now. So you don't have to be in there live in real time. It's not necessary. It's just if you want to watch it like you're in a class. The live's at 12 o'clock, yeah. And I teach it through Zoom. So if you want to know what I mean, it's not like what I do on YouTube. It's like if you're on a professional class for a college course. I used to teach through online courses and fitness and nutrition and things like that back in the earlier days. And right now we're going through phase number 2. So there's a lot of stuff that we're going over. Today, we'll be going through the advanced run through at some point. So we have a lot of stuff to go over today. Today we're going over wealth preservation. We continue to build upon this. So, and these are different slides. So I do it in a presentation format. You know, there's a lot of things that are different. If you're wondering about other things, I teach a lot of things. After classes on Wednesday for about 15 minutes to a half hour, we teach. Last week we did the fair value gap. The week before we did the CME, because we're not going to get into that stuff for quite some time. We got a few diagrams we shared and things like that. And there's just so much stuff to, just so much stuff. There's just so much stuff. This was a diagram for only class 8. Just an example of all the stuff we're putting into this. And there's just so much stuff. We talked just about so much metrics. So, I don't know. Unless you were in it, I can't really explain it, nor do I want to give away all the details, because that's for the members of the classes. So I encourage all of you to join. And before I log out, Nadir says, why is it going up? Over time, it'll probably be a fake out. But right now, we had an imbalance created when we had that big liquidity drop. And we liquidated about 97% of the liquidations were short. And there was 552,000 traders liquidated across crypto. Or 155,000 traders liquidated worth over $500 million. And it created a big imbalance to the top side. That's why over the weekend I was trying to preach, like, this could bounce up, and if it does, it's going to be very big bounce. Very big bounce. But yeah, that's why it's happening. We have an imbalance that we have to correct. Doesn't mean it's going to go up to all eternity, but there was an imbalance. And now we have to see if gold and silver can hold or not. If that breaks down, that's a big sign. Dollar's up 1%, which is not a surprise. We talked about coming back up and retesting. But ladies and gentlemen, I've been doing this since March 24th of 2021. We're coming up towards our 5-year anniversary on YouTube. I've never missed a single day of putting out content, not one. 5 years straight. That's my work ethic that I can guarantee you. Despite the classes, I will still put in the exact same amount of work, if not more, on my actual YouTube channel. You're just blessed to be able to get the Zoom stuff through YouTube and not pay the $129 a month to be able to see that info on top of the class charge. So, but I've been doing this since I had 500 subscribers or less. Ladies and gentlemen, I know what time it is. Do you know what time it is? Ladies and gentlemen, the sunny days are here again. Oh, sunny days. Oh, what a day. Oh, sunny days. Oh, what a day. I wear glasses 'cause I can't see a motherfucking thing. Happy days, oh happy days, Oh, what a day. Oh, happy days. Oh, what a day. XRP will reign supreme. Let's just not get caught in the FUD. Oh, we're gonna crash and we did and we will and we won't, but it can't and it will and it won't and it can and they say it'll never go under $1, but it can and it will and it won't and it can and it will and they go, oh yeah. Stay true, stay blessed. Bitcoin's the biggest Ponzi of them all. It's so true. So damn true. I love doing sunny days. You have no idea. Done so many sunny days. Look at FUD, Bitcoin. I do the same thing every time with the Bitcoin message. Now I've been starting to put Ponzi, but it's the biggest Ponzi scheme in the history of the world. Be blessed, everybody. Embrace today's movement, but also don't overextend yourself. Please, 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 please. I've been talking about XTC as a phenomenal opportunity since it went down to that little tug to the bottom. I even drew it out in a fashion so you could see the potential. We talked about the bottom line. As long as it doesn't break below here, remember, we're fine. So just please pay attention to some of this. I don't put this out here for no reason. I put this out for each and every one of you. Be blessed. Thank you all so much for